Thank you. Everybody, good afternoon. Pleasure to meet you. David Moss. But yeah, so we're talking about version 14, my personal experience using it. So, just an end user customer, talking about my coast to coast and, my entire 12,961 miles using it completely intervention free. But want to give a thank you, to all of you. My father, he's completely blind. And that's kind of my big, motivation to be here today is just personal autonomy. He has a terminal condition, and, kind of racing the clock between his condition and, this rapid pace of autonomy. And, I know it would make his world, make my world for, him to have this independence gained back. So it's my real driving force. It's not about the texting and driving. It's not about, everything else. Drunk driving is all about, people disabled. This is my Model 3 in question, 2025. I've had multiple Teslas in the past. Not even a big EV guy, just like the self-driving. I drive 50, 60,000 miles a year. I find the charging to be incredibly annoying, but I like that part of it so much. So I do sell LiDAR that's repurposed for construction, engineering, making floor plans, 3D models, that sort. I went on this big year-end trip from October 28th to December 24th. I just wanted to make this big year-end sales push, and this is kind of where the whole story organically came about. So I was on version 13, and then version 14.1, 14.2. This photo is from 3,000 miles into the journey. This is in Katy, Texas, just outside of Houston at Buc-ee's, which is my shirt here today. But just starting to post about it on X primarily. Talking about the story, and then eventually it gets to 6,000 miles. This is where it really starts to explode. Elon Musk shares it on X. I post about it. This individual 6,000 gains about 35 million views on X, and my kind of world changes overnight. So this was on December 20th. And then, I get home on Christmas Eve to see my family. We get to have this nice get-together. I'd been, gone almost 2 months. And I'm sitting at home. People are, saying that. And I'm thinking, I can get to 10,000 miles, and I can drive coast to coast before the end of the year. I know you guys probably relate business to business. In between Christmas and New Year's is pretty slow time. So I leave on December 26th, and I head straight to the Tesla diner from Seattle to LA. I got there in the early hours, about 2 in the morning. On the 28th, that was a Sunday, I believe, and so I charge up, get some nice food, excellent, but severely overpriced, amusement park type stuff. But and then I start my way. It takes me 67 hours. I take a nap at my house in Phoenix. I sleep a full night in a hotel in Albuquerque. But other than that, just straight driving, little cap nats across the country. I-10, shoot up to I-40 through Albuquerque, all the way across to South Carolina. And then in that hours on there. But the one kind of headache that does happen on the trip is just my own fault, not listening to the trip planner. I decided to go one extra charger. I get to a charger around 2% charge. I wish I could tell the full story of all the headaches that went through it, but there was a big, long 5-6 person line, and I'm trying to line up in a car that barely knows how to park at the charger, and it just becomes this big, long, multiple hour headache. But I finally plug it in at 1%. We keep going. Later in the trip the next day, I'm driving through Alabama. That's where I crossed 10,000 miles. That's where I'm thinking in my own mind that this is going to be the huge story because, my 2,732 miles across the country, 10,000, is essentially 4 of those. But I was surely wrong. The internet cared about, just doing this coast-to-coast straight shot drive. So I find myself right before the new year in the early hours of New Year's Eve, about 1 in the morning. I take this photo with my tripod, post it on X, and even before I can go to bed that night, even in the middle of the night, it has millions of views. And now this post and story has generated over 100 million views all across. New York Post wrote an article about it that morning. Elon Musk tweeted about it 5-6 times. Kathy Wood, she shared it as well. Andre Karpathy, the former head of Tesla AI, he shared it. I did an interview with ABC News and about 20 other publications. So it kind of turned my life upside down overnight. Ashok, the current head of Tesla AI, he kind of acknowledged the fate meets irony of my job selling these LiDAR scanners, repurposed to make floor plans, but driving this vision-only car with all the notorious things you hear about Elon saying about LiDAR. from there. So that was pretty exciting. The last half of my trip, it was really fun. I was working with Business Insider. We did this really long piece that's on their website about my last 6,000 miles and just my overall experience and my father being disabled and everything. It was probably my favorite part of the whole experience that's on their website. That was such a real treat. The streak ends though. I have to drive to a dairy farm to teach some farmers to build a map. They want to build some new piping for their dairy. And I drive on an unplowed snow road about 5 degrees in the middle of a mid-January morning, and snow gets on the cameras. There's no washers. I was done for. So afterwards, Tesla, they give me a call. Really congratulatory, super nice. They have me out to Giga Texas to give me a tour. I get to see the Model Y and the Cybercab production line. And then the really cool part after the tour, I got to sit down in the Giga Texas lobby with their soon-to-be in production Cybercab, and then I get to talk about my story for 20, 30 minutes, and then they chop some of that down. That's actually on Tesla.com today, and then that got posted online by Elon, Tesla reporter Sawyer Merritt and such, and that gained another 30, 40 million views. From there, so it's really just changed my life. I'm just a end user customer, but now I get to come to things like this. I got to speak in Chattanooga, Tennessee a couple weeks ago, actually flying to Orlando on Saturday to give a similar talk, going to Michigan in the summer. I have multiple sponsorships now. I'm making quite a bit of money on social media, and I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. Get to sit in a Cybercab, get to ride in a Zoox and a Waymo for the first time. But again, just want to thank you for all the hard work you guys are doing. Can't wait for this world of safety that we're going to live in, how many lives are going to be saved, and appreciate you guys coming, and hope you guys have a fantastic lunch.